You just have to deal with the fact they look really old already. It's like, what is it? Is Greece the most famous example, right? Where they've got 5 o'clock shadow and bags under their eyes and crow's feet and they're playing fucking high schoolers.
Like, some of them were like mid-30s and smoking like multiple packs of cigarettes a day.
I think one of the actors was 40 when they did that. And the only reason they get away with it is that it's the 50s. People had hard lives back then. So faraway Lucas and lovely audience at home, what is your favourite animated show?
I mean, animated show in general, I can't not say One Piece.
Knew you say One Piece. You always say One Piece. I once asked you what you wanted for lunch and you said One Piece.
Yeah.
Man loves doing some One Piece. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Western anime. King of the Hill. Before we get into the topic proper, something I want to clarify is the script this video is based on was written 8 years ago. So we're not talking about the King of the Hill reboot. But we will mention it because that's what made me look up this script and go, oh, I remember talking about King of the Hill in a script a while ago. We never recorded anything about it. Let's do that now.
It's my purse! I don't know you!
Also, when I say King of the Hill is an anime, it really is an anime. So,
すいません。朝の育成の認可に署名を。朝？ええ。安くて丈夫で布地やロープや紙なんかの原料になる植物のことです。
did you ever catch that trend online of people editing shows to go to You Say Run from My Hero Academia, and a lot of them fit weirdly well?
I'm not familiar with that one. I am familiar with Dear Maria going with every single anime.
Well, that'd be the inverse, right? That's like a Western song going really well with anime. Well, there is a really great King of the Hill one, and it really does fit. And it centers around the character of Bill giving himself a motivational speech to power himself up, go plus ultra, and lift up an entire room's worth of furniture that's about to crush his friend. And I'm not sure how much of the clip I can put in, because song from an anime and a clip from a Disney show, because Disney own that shit now, but I'll try. So let's get to the topic proper. So, a common problem with sitcoms is that they can only really go on for so long before your audience gets bored or frustrated with the fact that none of the characters in it ever seem to grow or develop as characters. A trend King of the Hill tried really, really hard to avoid, only for Fox to tell them to cut that shit out every single time. And I think that sums up how long ago I wrote this, right? That we're mentioning Fox as the owner of King of the Hill when Disney have owned that shit for years.
Yeah, it must be around maybe 5 years or longer since the merger at this point, right?
It also sums up how long I've been doing this. I had a script on King of the Hill that is weirdly relevant to today because King of the Hill is reboot, but I thought it'd be interesting to not edit the script at all to see how many bits in it have aged well or aged poorly with the new information that we have.
And that's the thing, technically it's still a Fox property, just Disney-owned Fox, right?
Mm-hmm. And so you're not too familiar with King of the Hill as a franchise, right, Lucas? But you are familiar with animated shows that Fox have produced, like The Simpsons and Family Guy, American Dad, that sort of thing, right?
Of course, yes.
What's your name, Pilgrim?
Darren.
Darren! You married, Darren?
Divorced.
Bitches, right?
So a common demand that Fox would have of animated shows like that is that they weren't allowed to show any real character development. That's like a real thing that they would tell the writers, do not have character development. Also, we really highly recommend that you never have a story that goes on for more than a single episode.
We're not friends here, Darren.
Bitches, remember?
You're a bitch, Darren. Get off my property.
Yeah, and it's one thing that you clearly see Futurama butt heads with them again and again over the amount of times that they've tried to end it or give some kind of satisfactory conclusion to the Leela and Fry arc of their romance. Just every single time it seems to just get to a point where they hit the reset button.
Yep. Literally in the case of Futurama, right? And you can tell that the people who made Futurama really didn't like the executives of Fox handing down notes on how they should write and produce the show. They literally have one episode, after they came back for the second time, where in universe they say, the box executives told us to make all those decisions and all the decisions sucked. And now those executives at the Box Network have all been ground up into powder.
Good news! news, everyone! Those asinine morons who cancelled us were themselves fired for incompetence!
So what does this mean for us and our many fans?
But then I think, like, in that episode, there's just new executives to do the exact same thing and replace them anyway, right?
And for anyone curious why did Fox give such a huge shit, the reasoning is, well, when the show enters syndication, we don't have to worry about what order we put episodes up in, because there's no overarching continuity we need to keep in mind. And that's one of the reasons why the shows are so profitable for them. And animated shows in general, because you can just put up any episode, and as long as people are familiar with the characters as they exist, you don't really need to put them in any given order.
Well, even if you're not that familiar with the characters, the point is that you're able to just jump in at any episode and understand what is going on.
And that's very valuable, to be able to just have essentially filler for any scenario, right? Like anytime you got a gap in your schedule, put an episode of The Simpsons up there. What episode? It doesn't matter. Every episode of The Simpsons is a self-contained story, and the more of them they make, the more value it has to the network.
Here are your messages. You have 30 minutes to move your car. You have 10 minutes. Your car has been impounded. Your car has been crushed into a cube. You have 30 minutes to move your cube. Hello, Mr. Burns' office.
Is it about my cube?
Yeah, obviously there's changes in kind of the animation and level of budget that the show will have. You'll notice that kind of thing, but generally speaking, you can just kind of put up whatever and everybody's remained the same for 30 years anyway.
And this isn't entirely unique to animated sitcoms. Like regular live-action sitcoms also suffer from this to a degree. The difference is that having live-action actors means that said actors age, and their appearance will differ. Even if they try to keep that appearance fairly consistent, there's going to be minor differences. Also, while characters might not change all that much, the situations they find themselves in might, which can suggest and indicate growth. For example, the character of Joey from Friends. He never really changes from episode 1 to episode whatever it was in like the 10th season. He's still the womanizing Lothario he was at the start of the show. But his character still changes and evolves because he's experienced things that still get referenced.
Oh, sorry, did I get you?
No, you didn't get me. It's an electric drill. You get me, you kill me.
Like, his friends get married. He moves out of his apartment. His girlfriend cheats on him. Like, there are multiple other examples of things that happen to the character that change him ever so slightly and lead to him being, if not a different character by the end of the show, one that has at least developed. Preferably in a realistic way, but not always the case.
Or you could just, What the hell are you doing? What the hell am I doing? You just broke my fridge!
Yeah, he's certainly a more sympathetic character in both senses of the word. Like, just, he treats women a little bit better and is looking for more of a relationship than necessarily one-night stands by the end of it. But ultimately, he's still, the charming, goofy, silly Joey that likes to go and hit on women a lot.
Yeah, like he's the same character, but he's at least grown somewhat. And this is good, and I'd say pretty integral to the success of any sitcom, because the longer a series goes on without the characters changing in any meaningful way, the more at risk they are of Flanderization. And are you familiar with Flanderization?
Of course, yeah. Just the idea that one character goes from being an actual full character to essentially being, Flanderized down to a point of only having one unique thing about them, just so that the one joke can be made consistently.
We're not going to church today.
What? You give me one good reason.
It's Saturday.
Okily-dokily-do.
Hens love roosters, geese love ganders, everyone else loves Ned Flanders.
Yeah, it's Flanderization is when a given aspect of a character's personality slowly but surely becomes their only real defining trait, to the point where they effectively become a one-note joke. And it's named after Ned Flanders from The Simpsons, who in early seasons of The Simpsons, he's Homer's goody-goody neighbour.
Dear Lord, may your loving hand guide Homer to the mattress square and true.
Like, Flanders goes to church, but that's not too big a part of his personality. It's just the fact that he's seemingly the perfect man. He's the foil to Homer being the fuck-up. 10, 15, 20, 30 seasons later, when talking about The Simpsons, dude is a caricature of what he was.
You, sir, have challenged me on scripture. Punishment is the key to belief. Matthew 25:46. They will go away to eternal punishment, but the
righteous to eternal life?
Yeah, the only thing that matters is the fact that he's religious, whereas it was almost incidental to begin with.
It was. Like, Homer Simpson, right? There is much been written online about jerk-ass Homer, which is just a point in Simpsons history where Homer went from being a lovable but goofy and not all their dad.
Kids, you tried your best, and you failed miserably. The lesson is, never try.
To just an arsehole.
I'll make you good! That is completely taken out of context!
And it happens so gradually over the course of, like, I said 30-odd seasons, you might not notice it, but if you watch, like, an early season of The Simpsons and then a later season, it's night and day.
I hear you and I validate your feelings.
You're not a great father. You are Homer Simpson, a drunk, neglectful sack of crap, and that's why everyone laughs at you.
Why, you little...
And we should clarify that live-action sitcoms are immune to Flanderization. Like I mentioned the character of Joey from Friends. Like, while his character does grow and develop and change somewhat, the fact that he's stupid, like that's like a joke in early seasons that Joey's a bit dumb, a bit dim. In later seasons, he's basically completely unable to look after himself.
Little girl who lives here made me feel a lot better about the whole thing.
Joey, there was a little girl who lived here, but she died like 30 years ago.
What?
Whereas in early seasons, he's seen reading books. There's an entire episode in an early season about him reading The Shining. And he rereads it every year, and he talks about how he loves to reread the classics.
How often do you read it?
Haven't you ever read the same book over and over again?
You would never have later season Joey admitting to read a book, because the character that's the part of the character that people found funny, so it's the part that they start to exaggerate.
The question should be, Rach, what is not so great about The Shining? Okay, and the answer would be nothing.
So live-action sitcoms are immune to this concept, but there's something that helps them avoid it to a certain degree, and that is the fact that, in live-action, actors age. So a good example would be Modern Family. All the kids in Modern Family stay fairly consistent in their characterization from the first season to the 10th one. But the fact that they age between seasons means that you can introduce new storylines and new concepts in an organic way. So for example, like Luke Dunphy, he remains fairly consistent between all the seasons, but the stories you can tell when he's like a 10-year-old, the difference of the stories you can tell when he's a 18-year-old.
Wah, no one can hear me now. Ooh.
You guys know you can call me anytime, right? And it's easy to visit Switzerland, so...
And I can still count on you for relationship advice, right? I don't want to become one of those pathetic guys that lets women manipulate them. We're gonna be fine.
And instead of becoming Flanderized, they actually developed, because in the first couple of seasons, like, Alex Dunphy is the smart kid, and the other two are the dumb kids, whereas by the end of it, Haley and Luke both actually find ways of becoming capable. It's just that, or maybe like the, traditional school system wasn't the thing that they were good at.
Yeah, it allows you to mature their characters in a very realistic and literal sense. Because as the actors mature into, adults, you're able to tell more adult stories that have more complexity to them.
Hey, anything to loosen up Bex.
Did we meet a Becky? Maybe. There were so many of them. So, how old is this Bex?
44.
It's on.
You don't get that with animated shows because the characters don't age. The exception being King of the Hill.
When am I gonna do it? Don't know. Could be tomorrow. Now!
So yeah, you said the King of the Hill is essentially a Western anime, and are you saying that they've done an anime time skip now?
They did a time skip in every season. It was subtle,
really?
but they did one. So, the writers of King of the Hill were keenly aware of this trope and wanted to avoid it. And according to the writers, each and every time a new season started, they handed down notes to the animation team of, just draw the characters a little bit older. And that is probably something no one really noticed. What they did notice, though, is that when a season started and the character of Joseph Gribble grew a foot.
Joseph?
Hey, Bobby.
So did you grow mostly in a few nights, or evenly throughout the summer?
I don't know.
So I've sent you a picture of the character between seasons, Lucas, and you can see that they grow a foot. They physically look different. They've even got, the faintest wisp of a mustache. So do you want to hazard a guess at what happened to the character between seasons?
Well, I'm presuming the puberty hit them like a truck, right?
They got hit by a lot of puberty at once, and it becomes a plot point in one episode where they're embarrassed by the fact that they're going through puberty, as a teenager often does.
What is so funny, Mr. 5 feet 10 inches with your fancy armpit hair? I'm guessing. Whoa. Joseph, what's going on?
I can't dance.
Compared to me, no.
I've got stretch marks on my shoulders and zits on my back. I can't even ride my own bike anymore.
And it's to the point where they even got a new voice actor to voice that character to showcase the fact that their voice had broke and gotten deeper.
I always find it fascinating when you have characters that are like, young teen characters who are either, live action or voiced by someone who's actually of that age, and then that person hits puberty and they have to deal with that in real time, right?
Yeah, well, it's a problem like with the production of shows now. I think it's like the show Wednesday. Someone pointed this out of, hey, that first season of Wednesday is like 6 episodes, and Pugsley was played by like a 13-year-old. It took him 4 years to make the next season. And there's a big difference between a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old, and the kids grew like 2 foot between seasons.
Well, I mean, a very clear example is Stranger Things, right? Where just all the child actors started out at age, 10 to 12 kind of vibes, and now it's been a solid 10 years since then.
And I think the actress who played the annoying little sister of... Do you know the character I'm talking about?
I'm presuming you mean Lucas.
Oh! I'm talking to Lucas. Why did I clock that? Like, that actress graduated from high school, this year.
Yeah.
And people pointing out, when the show started, she was a child and she's graduated from high school, and you're asking her to play a 12-year-old. The fuck are you doing?
Oh, we're going back to Hollywood roots, Karl, of getting 30-year-olds to play high schoolers.
That's why they did that, right? Because, 20-year-olds, can be on set all day. Kids can't.
And also, you don't have to deal with them aging rapidly out of nowhere.
You just have to deal with the fact they look really old already. It's like, what is it? Is Grease the most famous example, right? Where they've got 5 o'clock shadow and bags under their eyes and crow's feet, and they're playing fucking high schoolers.
Some of them were mid-30s and smoking multiple packs of cigarettes a day.
I think one of the actors was 40 when they did that. And the only reason they get away with it is it's the 50s. People had hard lives back then.
I think so many of those films that we watched growing up, it gives you such a twisted perspective of what a 18-year-old kid is meant to actually look like.
It's why these shows like Skins were so revolutionary in a way, right? Where Skins, the show, there's an American version where it sucks, so I've never watched it, but the British version actually hired teen actors to play teenagers and broke new ground by having teen characters who acted like teenagers, aka little shits.
Yeah, and quite a lot of them ended up becoming very successful actors, but
very well established in their own right. You got Nicholas Hoult, right? He's Lex Luthor now. Dev Patel.
Yeah.
He's whooping all kinds of ass, literally in that film, that Monkey Man film.
Awesome to see the progression that they made, but it was such a believable take because they was all 16 to 20-year-olds being 16 to 18-year-olds on camera, right?
And bring it back to King of the Hill. It might not sound that impressive. I'll put the picture on screen. You look and go, okay, the character grew a few inches, gets a mustache. What's the big fucking deal? Think about the shit fit people would throw if there was a new season of Simpsons and Bart Simpson had undergone a change like that. Bart Simpson has been 10 years old for 35 years.
Good news, gentlemen. I've grown that extra inch you wanted, plus several feet more.
Obviously, they have a couple of flash-forward episodes where they're adults, but it does feel weird because we've dealt with them as just one age for so long that as much as I see the argument for aging them up, it would be so odd to see a teenage Bart or a Bart that's got a fucking beard.
Well, what makes it weirder is that, because while the character has never aged, because the character's been around so long, they've started giving Bart really weirdly adult storylines. Like, he's had multiple episodes where he's dating, like, 15-year-olds.
Bart, I've been keeping a secret from you, too. I'm pregnant.
You can tell the writers want to tell different stories with Bart, but because he's locked at being 10 years old, some of them are fucking weird to watch.
It's not necessarily a new thing, though, because I think of the episode where his, like, next-door neighbour is a 16-year-old babysitter or something that he has a crush on, and
feels more natural for his age, right? Him having a crush on an older girl. Sure, we can all relate to that, being young and seeing like an older girl and getting a crush on them, right? Later episodes, he's dating them. As I said, you can tell the writers want to tell those kind of stories. Another example with Lisa is there's an episode where she's dealing with body image issues, which is something a lot of young girls experience, right? You know, because the media is fucked in regards to their portrayal of what a young girl should aspire to. Lisa is 8. And I'm not discounting the fact that 8-year-olds might suffer with body conscious issues, but it feels like a storyline written for a 13-year-old character.
I can have one dab of frosting and then stop. I'll know I've conquered food at last.
it is definitely becoming more and more common. I hear on a lot of podcasts.
It is dire, right?
Talk about like how much kind of like the skincare routine idea has gotten into children's minds of, oh, well, what are your 10-year-olds asking for like gifts for Christmas? Oh, £200 skincare routine packs and stuff.
As I said, I'm not discounting that it is a thing, but it's a more recent thing. As in, like, last like 5-10 years. Like, that's an episode from over a decade ago. And as I said, I'm not discounting that it's potentially a thing that children that age would deal with, but it definitely feels like an episode written with an older character in mind.
It definitely feels like the kind of thing that you normally write about a teenage character rather than an 8-year-old character, for sure.
And the fact that they clearly wanted to write that story, but didn't take into account how weird it is, that you've got a literal child talking about these issues that like teenagers and adults deal with. It just doesn't feel right. And King of the Hill wanted to avoid that. That's why they aged up Joseph Gribble. They aged him up. They have an episode where he's going through puberty. The character's awkward about it, as a teenager would be. It's a new dimension for them to now explore in regards to that character. They even use it as a jumping off point for storylines about Bobby Hill.
The chicken, please.
Is that the chicken wing dangs or the chicken fingers?
Choo-choo.
No, who doesn't go through puberty and is now self-conscious about the fact they haven't grown taller and they're not seen as being like, you know, a young man. They're still seen as a child.
It is such a bizarre thing, right, of having to be self-conscious about a thing that you have zero control over and being conscious about hitting puberty early or hitting puberty late. It's like, there's not a correct time to hit puberty and you don't get to decide anyway.
Exactly,
but
and it's
obviously it's something that we all have dealt with being conscious over in the past, right?
It's an interesting dimension to explore in the animated show. And I like the episodes where they deal with this sort of thing because it makes you like the character more because you get to explore a new aspect of their personality. And they even comment in like one episode like, yeah, Bobby Hill, you're just a late bloomer.
It happens to some people. I was one of the people who hit puberty early and could grow a beard at 14, and guess what? I got made fun of for that.
You know what? One day I'll grow that beard. One day I'll hit puberty and grow that beard. I'll let you know when it happens.
One day Karl will be able to grow a beard too.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you have the beard on the outside, as long as you got the beard on the inside.
And I mentioned that King of the Hill had a reboot earlier, and the reboot aged up each character about 10 to 15 years.
Okay, so I presume that's like how long it's been off air then.
I don't know how to kick someone's ass over Zoom, but I'll figure it out.
And there was a lot of talk about Bobby Hill, specifically who was going to voice Bobby Hill now that they'd aged up, because in the initial show run, they were voiced by Pamela Adlon. And they've just brought Pamela Adlon back and said, no, fuck it, Bobby's voice is the same, it's too iconic.
Irashamase, Dilkome. I'm your chef, Bobby Hill.
Because King of the Hill must have ran for a long time. Did Bobby never become older?
No, and that's because when the show entered its 7th season, the original creative minds behind the series took a step back. They were still involved, but not as much, and the new writing team that were brought in started to bow to that pressure from Fox to start writing more episodic episodes that no longer dealt with, like, you know, changes in the characters.
Right, okay, yeah.
They began to slowly but surely dismantle a lot of the character growth that had been seen in the previous 7 seasons, and even walk back some changes that had been made to the status quo so the show could go back to what fans expected. And
that's wild to make the decision to walk things back.
Yeah, so they didn't like make Joseph shrink. They had to keep that because the character physically was drawn differently. But they walked back a bunch of character development stuff. And the most like cynical one is the character of Bill Daughtry. He is like the resident sad sack of the show. He's the character his thing, he's the guy who gets shit on from a great height. That is the joke. But as the show goes on, do you like the Jerry from Parks and Rec? It's like the longer the show goes on, the more
right?
Yeah, the more you're like, fucking leave him alone.
And 1 second.
The writers of the original show run were like, you know what? It's kind of mean. Let's give Bill some happiness, and they got him a girlfriend. But him having a girlfriend is not part of his character, so she's got written out of the show.
They erased her.
Like, I don't feel too good, Bill. Get away. Do you know why? Because it's funny when he's sad.